I want to go back to Canada versus the United States because, again, that was an unreal game with the controversy, with the fights. Let's break down the game a little bit because I think that's the better way of kind of representing it. We'll go through, the stats and all that. So, again, the starting goalies in the game were Connor Hellebuyck and Jordan Binnington, as we honestly expected. The game started off with Connor McDavid scoring the first goal, a nasty backhander on Connor Hellebuyck. And this is kind of an instance where, he let in the first goal, and, he let in the first goal against Finland, and we're like, I don't know. But then the United States answered back relatively quickly, and it took them a little bit before they could finally tie the game. First off, I do also want to say that Jake Gensel tying goal was probably one of the worst goals I've seen Jordan Binnington let in. We got to get into a discussion on that as well. But the Larkin goal to make it 2-1 was an absolute rocket, and then it took them to the end of the third, but obviously Jake Gensel scored the empty net goal, and the United States took the game 3-1. My main takeaway from that game, again, I do have more than Carter because I watched a lot more of the game. I still was at the Royals, but I did watch a lot of it. My main takeaway was that the United States did not give Canada any room. They didn't give them that much room out there on the ice, which was a huge advantage. And therefore, a lot of Canada's shots, again, I know the deserve to win meter was insanely in favor of Canada, but a lot of those shots that Canada was getting, they were from the point. They were from the outside. It was a very well defensively played game by the United States, and I think a guy like, as Carter said, Charlie McAvoy, who laid some massive hits on McDavid and Crosby. Again, McDavid, absolutely embarrassed McAvoy on that first goal, and McAvoy after that was like, screw that, I'm locking down, and he leveled McDavid and leveled Crosby both twice. So again, he was somebody who looked really impressive for me. Slavin as well was incredible defensively too. And then Connor Hellebuyck was obviously great too. So again, just a very well played defensive game by the United States. If you're going to beat Canada, you're going to have to play that way again. For Canada, you're going to need to adjust. You're going to need to focus on getting more high danger opportunities, shooting the puck when you have it. There were a lot of times, especially in the other games too that they played, where they were kind of, going past first. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Crosby wants to set up these nasty passes, but you also should shoot when you get the opportunity. You shouldn't just be passing the puck all the time and being a team player. You got to shoot that damn puck, especially on Connor Hellebuyck. 26 shots is nice and all, but you're going to need more on that to score on Hellebuyck. I'm sure Carter, as a Jets fan, can confirm. But I want to lay a little bit more on Jordan Binnington. Heading into the final, Jordan Binnington, I think, has had some rough goals he's allowed, especially in the game against Finland, where it looked like it was over, being 4-1, and then he let in 2 goals in 10 seconds and made it 4-3. So, yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit there, Carter. Are you confident in Jordan Binnington heading into the final against USA?
Honestly, no. Really? He's looked shaky kind of all tournament. And obviously he was Canada's biggest question coming into this tournament. So ultimately kind of seeing this, it sucks, but it was expected. But I mean, I think we got to do a little more in the offensive zone, and I think it kind of starts with getting shots on net. That's what it comes down to with Canada. Is we have so much talent, and we have a lot of goal scorers on this team. One who should be on this team, but we're not going to talk about that right now. No, but we just got to shoot the puck a little more. And with Connor Hellebuyck, he's really good all around. There's not a lot of holes in his game, so it's really hard to beat him. But if you can find those spots, which he does have in his game, obviously I don't know what they are because I can't break down Connor Hellebuyck stats, but I mean, genuinely, there's ways that you can beat him, and I've seen it time and time again. I think you got to look at how Colorado beat him. You got to look at just how he goes in the playoffs, because playoffs is one thing that he's kind of struggled with as of kind of throughout his entire career. Honestly, it's not really something that's been a strong point for him. So as a Jets fan, having the chance for him to actually win kind of a playoff game and a big tournament of best on best would be huge for his confidence going forward. But honestly, it's a Canada thing, and I'm trying to make sure that you and Jack have to chug maple syrup. So I really hope that he doesn't play too well, but if he does play well, I think it'll help him in the future. But I think that Canada knows how to beat him, and it's just going to be about actually implementing it on Thursday night.
Well, not only am I going to have to chug a thing of maple syrup if Canada wins, I have to recite the whole Constitution.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not trying to do that. So, yeah, I'm going to go back to Bennington for a second. I mean, I have made it very vocal that I am not a fan of Bennington. I just don't trust him, simply being put. I think that Aiden Hill should be in that net over Jordan Bennington, in my opinion. I mean, we can get into the fact that I don't think that either of them should be in this tournament. I think it should be Logan Thompson and like maybe a Mackenzie Blackwood or Darcy Kemper. But again, we've gotten into that so many times in this podcast. And I think honestly, if Canada loses on Thursday, we might be back here and Carter might be saying the same things I'm saying right now. But again, like I don't trust Bennington. I'm sorry, I don't. I get it. He is a good goaltender. He is an above average, solid starting goaltender, but he should not be playing in a best on best tournament. I think I've made that very clear in all of the things that I've said on all of my platforms. I just don't trust him. I don't. And seeing how, like, again, like they did beat Sweden. They did beat Finland. They barely lost to the United States. Did you see the goals he let in, though? Letting in 2 goals in 10 seconds against Finland, being a part of Canada blowing that 3-1 lead against Sweden in the first game, letting in that awful tying goal against Gensel in the USA. He's not consistent enough. He's not consistent enough to be a best on best goaltender. And I just think that's really what's going to affect Canada in this final. I mean, can he lock it down? Maybe, but again, you see Connor Hellebuck on the other side, who has lacked in the playoffs prior. This is playoffs. It isn't at the same time. It's going to feel like a final. It might even be more. It might even be bigger than the finals, depending on what the finals are this year. But I trust Hellebuck more than I do Bennington. I trust Hill more than I trust all 3 of USA's goalies more than Jordan Bennington. I trust Hill more than I trust Bennington too. I just don't trust him. As for the scoring, look, they have the firepower where they can do it. Again, I know that Canada made it a lot of their excuse that they didn't have Kel McCarr on their power play, which didn't make it good. You have enough firepower on that blue line anyway or enough firepower on that team anyway to put together a realistic power play. But I digress. I think that heading into this final game, which is what we'll get into now about like the finals preview, there's a lot on the line. We have not seen either of these teams play in a best on best tournament besides that round robin game, and I think over 10 years. Besides World Juniors, when we're looking in terms of like international Olympic play, World Juniors is different because that's U18 and you have those teams competing every year and they usually play each other at least once per year. But for the Olympics and international play, it's not something that you see too often, especially over the last 10 years or so. So there is a ton on the line from that perspective. And I think there's a lot on the line for Canada. If the United States wins this Four Nations tournament, I don't know, and I might be saying something that Carter might not like. We might be starting to think that Canada may not be the best hockey country. We look at the World Juniors, how Canada has not been able to put together good teams.
Oh, okay. Let's first off stop it there. Okay, we could probably put together good teams if we knew how to pick the right players. So that's our issue with the World Junior thing. You can have that one all you want. Just shut up. Thank you. Moving on.
Move on from what?
Whatever your next topic is, let's get to it.
Well, I think I just want to say, like, I think there's going to be a lot on the there is a lot on the line from that perspective. Like,
Oh,
I think
100%.
I'm not saying that the USA is a better hockey country than them. What I think I
Definitely
should have
not.
said is that
I think
I need to use
I'll put this in a I'll put this in a way is I think that something that we're seeing is the gap between Canada and US shrinking drastically. I think that with a win in this tournament for the United States, I think that they firmly cement themselves as probably tied with Canada or just slightly below Canada as the best country in hockey right now. Because they definitely proved themselves as the best country in this tournament, but at the same time, like there's so much talent on this Canada roster that Canada will always be hockey. Like it's never gonna. I don't think it will ever probably be U.S. But I can completely understand where that comes from because U.S. has developed very good players from top all the way to bottom to goaltending. Canada, it's top all the way to bottom, and there's that gap in goaltending that is missing in Canada's game. That I think that the shift between Canada and US is what's going to be the reason why US is going to be so successful and why they're going to maybe not dominate, but why they're going to always make things close with Canada. Because if you remember, Canada would be able to smash US, right? Like these games are always close, but usually Canada gets the edge because of goaltending. And right now it looks like US has that drastic edge in goaltending. It's not a slight edge anymore like it was between, this is the Carey Price, Ryan Miller right now. But right now it's Connor Hellebuck and Jordan Binnington. The gap between has flipped from 2010 to now in 2025. So over the last 15 years, I think US has really done a great job as far as goaltending development. But I think at the same time, you also got to look that this starting goaltender for Team USA was developed in Canada. So all I'm going to say,
developed in Canada. He went to, oh, okay. You mean he's on a Canadian team. All right.
There you go. You figured it out. Good boy.
He went to college in the United States.
I don't care. Shut up.
All right. What I meant by what I said is that I think we're going to start maybe having that conversation is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that I agree with that. There are actually a lot of people who think after the back-to-back World Junior wins by the United States that the U.S. is the better hockey country and that it's our sport now. And I'm like, it's maybe we have a better like future coming up. But I want to say that I think that for Canada, if they lose this tournament, there are going to be some real evaluations with Hockey Canada and the people who made this team. Because I think there were a lot of questions heading into this tournament. Even if they make the finals and even if like those work out, I think if you don't win as the team that is the best hockey country, I think you have to look at your management and be like, did we make the right decisions here? Especially if Jordan Bennington's just the bed. I'm just saying. Especially if he shits the bed.
No, I completely agree. I think that honestly there is a little too much Tampa Bay bias in this one. I don't understand how you take Anthony Cirelli over Mark Scheifele. I don't understand how you take Sam Bennett over Mark Scheifele. I don't understand how you take Seth Jarvis over Mark Scheifele. Like, I get that that's one point that you can look at and will consistently say, why was Mark Scheifele not on this team? But like, that's one thing that you got to look at. And then again, they literally came out and said, we are not taking Aiden Hill because we didn't like him in our thing. It should not matter whether you liked him or not. He is probably Canada's maybe best or second best goalie. And the fact that you're not taking him due to, oh, we didn't like him. Oh, we didn't like him, with our team. That shouldn't fucking matter. Okay? That's like, that'd basically be like John Tortorella coming out and saying, Austin Matthews made a cheap hit on Scott Lawton in one of our games, so we're not going to take him. I don't want that on my team. I don't want cheap shit. No, Like you can't just take away a player because of your own personal bias. There should not be bias when making these teams. It should be the best players in the world for your country. There should not be any bias. And the fact that we have to look at an entire line of Tampa Bay Lightning players when there are players better than Anthony Cirelli. Brandon Hagel, I can understand making this team, but there's just so many players on the Canada roster that I'm like, why was this guy not put on that roster? And I will continue to say Mark Scheifele should have been a Four Nations player because that is fucking unbelievable.
Well, going to Thompson, as you said, like they didn't like Thompson or whatever and this and that. I wholeheartedly agree that Scheifele should be on Team Canada, even if you want a guy to be on your penalty kill like Anthony Cirelli. I'm still taking Mark Scheifele. Like,
yeah. Like what?
And you look at it too. You only scored 1 goal against Connor Hellebuck. Mark Scheifele is Connor Hellebuck's teammate.
Yeah, like this guy knows how to beat him. And you got one of Connor Hellebuck's teammates and Josh Morrissey. Congratulations. Imagine if you had 2 of them. Whoa. Exactly. What?
Exactly.
I don't, this whole roster, like, we can blame the roster construction all we want, and I will probably blame it for a while. The same way I've blamed it for Canada's horrible, not even success in the World Juniors for the last 2 years, because that has been absolutely atrocious as well. But it's kind of crazy to me that, you know, you get a guy who's top 3 in the league in scoring and he doesn't make the team. So I don't know. I'm going to shut up about it, but yeah.
All right. We'll move on to the United States because we went into Canada for a lot there. What do you think Canada needs to do to win in the final against the US?
I think it's gonna come down to kind of discipline. I think that no, I'm not gonna say discipline. I think that what it's gonna come down to is you have to play harder than Team USA. Yes, I think that you have to. I think that you need Connor McDavid to go in the corners and make hits. I think you need Nathan McKinnon to go in the corner and make hits. I think you need to do everything you can to try and piss US off because they got a lot of guys who are undisciplined on that team. And I know I said discipline's probably not going to be it, but you get a power play, and I think that you're going to be very successful. And I think that if you're able to do that, Sam Reinhart is going to be the game changer in that because I don't think Canada really had a lot of chances on the power play. I think, let me quickly pull up the stats here, but realistic.
How lethal that Canada power play can be. We know how lethal it can be. There should be no excuse why you shouldn't at least be scoring at least once on the power play in this game against the U.S., unless if the refs don't give you any penalties. But as you said, you gave a really good point that there are a lot of undisciplined players on Team USA. If you get Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk off of their game, they're going to be taking penalties and they're going to be making stupid plays. So, like, I'm telling you, if you play in that way, you play physical out of the gate, you lay big hits, you maybe you do the additional jab here and there, and, you try and get them, like all worked up, that will help you dramatically. And I think there are a lot of players on this team who, if you can get them off their game, they're not that useful. So, Carter, you wanted to say some stats? What do you got?
Yeah, like Canada, like they had 2 power plays, and to beat USA and to beat Connor Hellebuck, that's not going to be enough. I understand that they didn't score on said power plays, and I think that that's your mistake. Is when you get the power plays against Team USA and you have the man advantage and you are in their zone for 2 minutes, you have to score. So power play is going to be the biggest thing, and I think that you have all this talent, but I think that really their biggest point, I think, is going to have to be Sam Reinhart, who's going to be in the slot, who's going to be in that spot where if you can get it to him, he doesn't miss from that spot often.
Yep.
He doesn't miss from that spot often, especially a shot from the slot, one-timer that's a little bit cross crease. That's something that you're going to be able, that you're going to have to capitalize on, and I think that's going to happen. And another thing. There's so much speed on this team. McKinnon, McDavid, like that's two guys who are absolute speedsters. No one on Team USA can catch them.
Yeah,
no one.
Exactly.
You also have a backward skating speedster in Cale Makar. Like, you have to capitalize on your speed. And that's how we got our goal, right? McDavid with speed comes in, beats Hellebuck short side on the backhand, right? You got to get as many breakaway chances as you can and capitalize. It's easier said than done, but realistically, I think this game's going to come down to power plays. It's going to come down to wanting it more than Team USA because they are going to hit you and you got to hit them back because realistically, they're probably not going to like that very much. So, play with passion, make some hits, and you need your star players to lay the boom. And Sam Reinhart, if Canada, gets a lot of power plays, I'd like Sam Reinhart to get one or two.
I agree. I think my takeaways: shoot the puck when you can shoot it. Don't try and pass. You got to get shots on Hellebuck, no matter how many they are, no matter where they're from. Honestly, you need shots on Hellebuck. That being said, I did say no matter where they are, you need to get high danger chances. Again, a lot of the shots that they had against the United States were from the point. They were from the outside. You aren't winning if those are where your shots are coming from. You aren't. Plain and simple. Hellebuck is going to make that save almost every time. Unless if it becomes playoff Hellebuck, like he's making that save every damn time. So I agree with that. Again, I said my two pieces on Jordan Binnington and how I think that I don't trust him. He better have the game of his life. That's all I'm going to say. He better have the game of his life on Thursday. Let's move over to the United States because there's a lot of questions of who exactly is even going to be playing for this United States team. And it's going to be interesting to see what is coming next moving forward for them because Quinn Hughes might be apparently playing in this tournament for some strange reason. It doesn't look like he will, but it's still up in the air as of right now. So we did get some confirmation today that Charlie McAvoy will not play in the finals, which is a big blow for the United States because, again, we said that McAvoy played very well in that game against Canada. He laid the hits on McDavid and Crosby and made some very key plays despite, allowing the one goal that he caused. But again, I think that he is a very high impact player and he's going to be missed 100%. Also, I do want to say for Boston, it's a big disadvantage too because a guy like McAvoy, he's going to be week to week, and the Bruins are out of a playoff spot as of right now. So that's a rough thing there. You got any thoughts on McAvoy?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge... What's up?
I'd say anything. What?
Oh, okay. Just sorry, mouth moving. It's definitely a huge blow. I think especially to Team USA and to the Boston Bruins because I think Charlie McAvoy is probably their second best defenseman on Team USA.
On Team USA, 100%.
I'd say so for sure. And I think that
the best.
Yeah, he's exactly who Team USA wants on their team. I think he's the back end Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, who's gonna throw some hits around, who's gonna get you points. So it's definitely a huge loss for Team USA, but definitely a big boost for Team Canada. Knowing that he's not going to be able to play, I think that definitely helps Canada out. And then as far as for Quinn Hughes,
he's not playing. I don't think.
No,
I don't think
there's no chance. I don't think so unless somehow there is a last second injury in a practice tomorrow. Which, if that happens, I am going to be calling bullshit.
Oh, oh my God, Canada might have a meltdown if that happens.
Dude, we would riot. I would riot for sure.
Adam Fox seen being huddled off the ice after being hit by Matthew Tkachuk in practice. Oh my God.
Yeah, so that would not be a fun one. But if it happens, it happens, and so be it. But I don't think he's gonna play.
That's not gonna happen. Quinn Hughes is not playing. Unless if we really see something big there. I think the Canucks have to go to Boston anyways or be around that area for a trip because it said he was with the Vancouver he was at Vancouver in practice. So I don't know. Maybe he was near them or something, but who knows? Again, going back to the United States, though, it looks like Matthews is playing. It looks like both the Kachuk brothers are playing as well. So they're okay on the forward core. It seems like all of them are going to play. There was some worry though against Sweden, which again, like what's funny is like I'll get like so stupid comments all the time on my videos, but I got a comment like I have to read it. It's just so bad. It's definitely from a Swede that said it. It is actually so bad. So let me pull it up here real quick. So this guy commented on my one video saying, quote, Sweden is clearly the best. 2 overtime losses. That's it. Was in the game for all of the games. Sweden is the second most successful team of all time. What? 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 Are we serious right now?
Crazy.
What a freaking joke. You're going to say that after the U.S. rested like half of their roster and Hellebuck didn't even play. What are we? Seriously? You got heavily outshot, too. Like, are we dead ass right now? But, yeah, again, I'm not really worried about that game. I said that on my TikTok. Yeah, I mean, not a lot here on the U.S. I think they just have to play the way we know they can play. Play the way that you played against Canada, but you also got to be adjusted to it. You have to adjust your game if Canada comes out of the bat and plays your way. You have to adjust to their game and play in a different style than maybe what you're usually used to and what you did against them. But again, my biggest thing is don't give Canada space either. You got to be very mindful defensively. I know you have a really good goalie in net, but you also have some very talented players. You also have some very talented players who are, on the other end for Canada. So again, I think for the U.S., just got to play your way. You got to play the way you know you can. Carter, what do you think the USA has to do to win? Just play their way?
Yeah, I think that if they play exactly how they played against Canada the first time around, I think that they will win. And then another thing is, I think that they just got to shoot on Binnington.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to mess something up. Something's going to happen, and you just got to put the puck in the back of the net when you can. And I think that they'll be able to do that pretty easily if they shoot the puck a lot. And if you get in Canada's head and get their star players rattled and out of this game, you're gonna succeed, no problem.
Well, the same can be said for the United States. Just keep a level head, stay disciplined. If Canada comes out and pisses you off right away, don't be going crazy. I don't think we're going to see fights off the draw again. No. I don't think so for a championship game. I just highly doubt it. But I've seen crazier things before, I guess. But overall, I do think that we're going to see a way more conservative tournament. It's going to be a pretty wild and fierce battle for sure. So I don't know. We'll have to see what comes next. But that's our preview of the final. About 40 minutes long there. We went into there a little bit. Again, I knew it was going to be a longer one. Carter, any final thoughts on the final game? Anything else you want to add?
No, I got nothing. But if Canada loses, I'm going to be pretty depressed.
We haven't come up with your punishment yet, so we gotta figure that out.
I thought you guys did. You should.
I don't want to hear you say, "Oh, because Jack hasn't done his yet." No, screw that. Because I'm going to be doing mine. I'm going to be doing our punishment.
Yeah, well, Jack still has to do it. So.
Well, what if I do it? If I do my punishment, then you have to do yours. I'll drink maple syrup. I'll literally go to the store with my girlfriend on Friday and get the syrup and do it on a video and post it on the Instagram.
Okay.
And what will you do? What will you do? Just go eat a burger? Because that's American food?
Classic.
I don't know what else. I really don't know what to give you as your punishment. I've been thinking about it like the last week, but I just don't know. Like, what is an American thing that I could have you do? Go buy a gun? Like, I don't.